Boy finds old buried rope in mud, then gut tells him to keep pulling. It was supposed to be just a normal walk through the woods near Lake Kurtna in Estonia for this little boy. There was nothing unique about what he was doing as he had passed this way many times before. Little did he know that that day would turn out to be an epic one, not just for him, but for the entire town. As he passed the lake, he noticed a rough patch of land that seemed to form a path into the water. Did something get dragged into it recently? Why didn't anybody notice this before? Scared about what he might discover alone, he rushed to call the attention of some adults nearby. When they approached the scene, they instantly knew that an investigation needed to be launched. It was not just a small clearing, it was something none of them have ever encountered before. Lake Kurtna in Estonia offers a spectacular and tranquil view that makes it a favorite of many hikers and those seeking some alone time. One rainy afternoon, a little boy decided to take an unpopular path through the woods to enjoy some peace and quiet on the way home. Not long after he started his walk, his quest for adventure was heightened by strange marks on the soil. The earth looked like something had been dragged through it. It can only mean two things, either that something is now in the water or something came out from the lake. Not one to venture into the unknown on his own, he decided to rush home immediately to tell his parents about what he just discovered. Soon, a bunch of people from his neighborhood came, all of them intrigued by the strange ground marks that led to the lake. The men gathered around to see if they could find any clue as to what was apparently submerged in the water. One of them spotted a rope that was partially buried and thought maybe that could be the thing that would help them solve the mystery. They pulled and pulled, but to no avail. Whatever that was underneath was something beyond their combined strengths. It was time to call the authorities in. It was only by contacting the authorities that they would have the right equipment to finally lay the mystery to rest. A few hours later, the people felt the ground shake as a massive bulldozer plowed through. The help they needed had finally come. They tied the rope to the gigantic machine as its driver prepared himself to move the vehicle forward. Several people also thought to chip in and hold some parts of the rope to help with the haul. Whatever had carved that huge mysterious trail on the ground was going to have to come out soon. And with all their combined efforts, they will finally find out. There were many ropes attached to the bulldozer, in addition to the ones that the townspeople had also attached to their own vehicles to help. They needed all the muscle and horsepower to get that thing out of the water once and for all. All the hauling and heaving did not last long as they all felt something move as everyone collectively pulled. Minutes later, the tip of something rose to the water's surface. Some of the people around immediately moved closer to try to get the muck and mud out from around it, using shovels to make it easier for the bulldozer to drag it out. It was by massive machine, and with a lot of human power, that thing finally revealed itself. As if straight out of a suspense thriller film, the crowd let out a collective gasp when the thing finally manifested itself while slowly being pulled out of the murky water. First, they saw a huge pike of metal breaking out from the surface, then they spotted a huge open hatch at its top. Could this be an old vehicle? What was it, and whose was it? Some of the onlookers wasted no time in guessing what it was, with some jumping towards the water and manually removed the hardened and caked gunk that stuck to what seemed like an old vehicle. They couldn't reach a conclusion yet as to what it was exactly, but as their hands dug through the mud, one could see the twinkle in their eyes as they excitedly removed layer upon layer of heavy and sticky earth. It has been hours since the bulldozer partially hauled that massive metal thing out of the muddy water, and, clearly, everyone on site was tired. However, despite the hard and sweaty labor that went into all the digging and hauling, it was apparent that every person at that very site was overcome with excitement and intrigue. They've gone this far, and there certainly was no turning back. When they finally moved the huge metal vehicle to the ground, everyone was surprised at what they saw. It was a war tank, and not just any tank. Based on its construction, it apparently was part of World War II. Another curious thing about it was that it didn't seem to have any damage at all. Everyone fell eerily silent as the machine rattled onto the ground while the bulldozer continued to pull slowly. How was it possible? Judging by its construction, the local authorities concluded that it was a Russian-built T-34-76A war tank. This started to raise plenty of questions from the people. How could such a tank find itself buried in an Estonian lake? How could anybody have forgotten such a massive vehicle in the first place? It was highly unlikely for a Russian tank to be hidden in the woods, so historians theorized that it might have been abandoned during the war so that the Allied forces couldn't get their hands on it. Considering the tension during that time, the last thing that the Soviets needed was their enemy getting hold of their own tech and using it against them. Upon closer investigation, the authorities discovered that the 27 metric ton tank had been under the water for a whopping 56 years. While some of the metal on the surface eroded a bit, the Russian war machine appeared to be in top condition. It was so intact and looked so very solid that it probably still worked. The team managed to haul the gigantic machine far up the bank enough so people could go around and take a closer look. Many naturally took photos of and with the major historical find. And it was all because a little boy noticed something strange about this quiet lake in the woods. Thank you for watching this fantastic story. Please tap one of the 2 videos on your screen for another amazing wonder stories.